Hey, badass black girls, and they making big moves. Hey, badass black girls, nothing that you can't do. They are the future, I'm trying to tell ya. They want the best, no time to settle. They got the strength to handle the pressure. These are the queens, nobody better. Yeah, changing the narrative, that is imperative. They about to rock this. Tell the women that you got this. Got no time for people who are toxic. It's all love, good vibes. You know I got your back, girl. Talking issues that matter. This is badass black girl, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Badass Black Girl. I'm happy you're here. My name is MJ Fier, for those who don't know me. And today I have a very special guest, Lillian Harshaw. Hi, Lillian.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Lillian Harshaw, and I am from Indianapolis, but I currently live in a small town in Marion, in Indiana. But I am a podcast host of the podcast show called Worldly Church Girl. I know, strange title, but there is a story behind it. I grew up in a Pentecostal family, but I went to a very urban school district. So I had the best of both worlds, if you will. So, with that being said, I was conflicted of trying to blend in with both sides. I wanted to make my church family happy, but I also wanted to make the um the other side of the world happy as well. So I never really truly fit in. And I'm currently writing a book about that. And I could not think of a name for that to fit that world that I was talking about. And the Lord just brought that name to me, Worldly Church Girl. And a lot of people get tongue tied saying that. They used to say wordy, but it's worldly church girl. So that's how the name came about. And the podcast basically just has different people from all walks of life who talks about their journey, whether it's not everyone is um church based, but they are spiritual based. So they talk about their spiritual walk and how their spiritual walk has led them to do different aspects of life. And my podcast let them share that life with other people.
I have to say, Lillian, I have such admiration for you, for what you
Thank
do.
you.
I grew up in a very Christian setting. I attended Christian school my entire life, starting with elementary school all the way to college, actually. And even when I moved from Haiti, where I'm originally from, to the US, my first few years in college were also at a Catholic school. And it's always been and it I mean this experience of course is not unique, but it's always been so difficult to just find myself and figuring out where I fit between trying to maintain my Christian faith and just fit in, and finding you and seeing that that's that's the theme that you explore.
Hmm.
I mean, it brought so much comfort. The idea that you can be a church girl and be worldly at the same time, because you do belong to both worlds. So I wanted to tell you, I when I found out about your podcast, I was so enthusiastic because I can understand the challenge.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Because when a lot of people come across that name, they either do one or two things. They do what you do, appreciate it, or in short, they just come at me because they just come with me with scripture, which what most church people do. They come with me with, you're not supposed to be of the world, and I'm like, well, no, I'm not of the world, but I do live in this world.
Right.
And that's why you got to remember that we do live in this world, and we do partake in a lot of things of this world. That's why God created it,
Yes.
for us to enjoy it. Whether you want to admit it or not, you enjoy the fruits that he gave us. So don't deny it. live in this world and enjoy it. So that's what the podcast is all about. And now I am doing Worldly Church Girl Live now. So I'm bringing it to the forefront as well. It's going to be on Friday nights, and it's going to be on all social media formats. And now you can see different people sharing. It's going to be have different segments of like the definition of beauty, women on the front lines. What does today's youth think about the church world, and women in ministry, and what is the misconception of it? You know, because a lot of people, when you think of church, people automatically, especially now, because I'm sorry, the church is kind of getting a bad rap lately. And because we were supposed to separate church from state, and somehow or another it's gotten mixed in and blended together, and it just looks real messy and sloppy. So we just need to, we need to get it together. So, but with that, it's ugly.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. You mentioned your upbringing.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about those the convictions that were instilled in you and what kept you going all those years, because so many people are raised in a certain faith, but as they grow up they kind of distance themselves because they're like, okay, I have the foundation, I'll live a moral life, but I don't necessarily want to cultivate my faith and go to
Hmm.
church. How Tell us a little bit about what led you to be the person you are today, who are still working on their faith and spreading the world and making their faith a centerpiece in their life.
To be honest, I didn't always stay in it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I I really did get into church or saved until my later years. I wanted to venture out and just wild out and experience the world for all what it was. Everything from experimenting to fornicating to just doing whatever I could figure out I could do to its extent. But I think God allowed me to do all those things. So when I did turn my life around and fully commit, I could honestly say that I there's a difference between being wild and being fully committed to faith, but then and being too strict into it to where you don't know how to be human. And I needed to find that balance. And I'm at that part where I'm at a part of my life where I'm balanced now. And that's where I'm trying to help people find out within themselves. You can live a balanced life. You can still be spiritual, you can still have a relationship with God, but not be so rigid that it turns people off. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of church people, that we can turn people away from faith versus turn them into faith.
I imagine that it wasn't um, an easy path, being able to realize, okay, maybe I that's not the life I want to live. I have to go back and find myself. Tell us about some things that you maybe had to give up in order to find that balance, because we, like they say, you can have your cake and eat it too. It's like you have to give some in order to get some. So what was your experience? What did you have to give up?
um, Believe it or not, it probably just the promiscuous part. If I'm gonna be honest, being promiscuous, it's not a hard life to live. To be honest, there is joy in it. It's not a hard life. I think people make it seem so hard and rigid, but it's really not that hard of a life to live. Um, just being a decent person. Decency is it's I guess because I had such a strong foundation growing up and watching my parents because they were, godly people. And I really didn't see them really doing anything wrong per se. Um, it wasn't that hard. It was just some of the man made rules that I thought was uncalled for. Like when in the church I grew up in, they was like you couldn't wear makeup, you couldn't wear pants, you couldn't drink and things like that. That's what made me go. I would overboard with that kind of stuff. But then when I found out that that wasn't really scripturally based, and I started researching things for myself, then I was like, okay, well, you can do certain things, but you just can't go overboard. You can still be modest. You just ain't got to be whorish about it, if you will. That might be a strong word, but you know what I'm saying.
You also mentioned being disconnected from your faith at a certain during a certain period,
Hmm.
and coming back to it, and maybe during that period doing certain things that were not in line with how you feel right now. Do you think back on that period and think about it as a mistake, or is it something that you needed to go through in order to grow?
I look at it as a lesson. Um, I look at it for mainly like for like I was telling my daughters once, they were talking about like the relationships I've been in or the marriages I went through, and I said, I don't take anything I done as a mistake. I take it as a lesson, especially if it will teach y'all not to do what I did, because it taught me, it made me who I am today. And I would not take nothing from it. I really wouldn't. And it sucked and it hurt. Um, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was explaining to them that I still have a lot of deep rooted self esteem issues from things that happened to me from when I was like back in high school. I was sitting at a table in the cafeteria, and I was sitting at the cute girl table, if you will, and these group of guys walked by, and one of them said, "This is the finest table in this whole cafeteria, except for you," and pointed at me. And that stuck with me to this day. And what's funny, that same guy inboxed me on Facebook talking about some, I always thought you was cute. And I really didn't know what to do except laugh. And I was like, really, just, I didn't even respond to him. And I never told him to this day, like, you don't even remember what you said to me, do you? But, it's just things like that is like constant reminders that those thorns that are in your side or in your, they are constant reminders that you, even though they are there, there's growth from that, that they will keep you humble and they will keep you, remind you that that God just has greater things for you and better things for you. And I've been mentally abused, physically abused, and but I still wouldn't take anything from those moments in my life. I just wouldn't.
Which leads me to the next question: what keeps you going when you're having a very bad day, when you're questioning your faith, when
Hmm.
you're going through some hard times like we all have recently with the pandemic and everything else? What
Hmm.
keeps you going? What do you tell yourself? I know you have faith. I know you try to live a life that is in line with what God asks from us, but when you're having a particularly bad day, tell me a little bit about what you tell yourself.
Honestly, my children, I push myself for my children because I always want them to know that no matter how bad things are, you can keep going and it'll be okay. And I remind myself that all the time, no matter how bad things are, it's always going to be better. It does look like it's not going to work out, but it will work out because it always does work out. And I don't ever want my children to ever think that things will never work out, because they will and they always do. It sucks right now, but it will be better tomorrow, even if tomorrow may not be tomorrow, even if tomorrow may be a month from now, but it will be better. So that is, it's my children, even though they're not babies anymore, but I still call them my babies.
You mentioned the importance of having a good foundation, and you're
Hmm.
a mother yourself. What does that look like to raise a kid um, God's way? What are some things that you have to do every day to keep them on the path? What are things that you have to consciously think about so that the lesson is clear? What does that look like?
I really, honestly, I try to set an example for them. I do not do them. This probably sounds bad. I don't do them like my mother did me. I don't pound religion on them because I feel like that made me run when I was growing up. It because as soon as I could get away from church, that's as soon as I got away from it. And I don't pound it. I just live by example, and I just let them see through me that I just let them see my faith and my walk and my way of living through me, um, in my conversation, in my work, and just my daily life and my daily walk. I just I refuse to let them see me stumble. And then if they do see me stumble, I will even talk to them about my stumble, and I will share with them that yeah, I slipped, I fell, but mommy's gonna get back up. And I think that's something that we as adults need to talk to our children about. We're so quick to make them think that life is perfect. It's not. It's full of mess. But we need to show them that you can be a mop and clean that mess up and get going, you know? That's what makes you I'm about to cuss, makes you a badass black girl.
And you're talking to us from Indiana, right?
Yes. Hmm.
And I've been to Indiana. I spent a week there. I was young. I
Hmm.
was visiting a friend in college, and we spent a night just club hopping,
Hmm.
and it was very fun. But there were not a lot of people who looked like us, black girls just hanging out in in Indiana. So tell us a little bit about your experience living there, and how is it to be a black woman in Indiana?
Okay, I darn it feel like I need to lean in for this one. Now, here's the thing. I'm from Indianapolis, but I live in Marion. And Marion, there's a lot less black women here, to the point where when you see another black person, we actually get excited when we see each other. So I like to tell people that because I'm dark, I'm not friendly black, if you will. So it can be a challenge. I've had a lot of low key racist remarks made to me over the years, and it can be rough because you and I talked about the like, ooh, can I touch your hair? And um, because I have a lot of hair under the weave, but I just choose not to wear it. And I've heard I can't believe your hair grows so fast. It was just so short yesterday, and now it's long today, and then just like you can't be serious, and remarks like that, and um uh because my name is Lillian, and I get the oh wow that's different, and because that's not usual for a black girl to be named Lillian, and um or like over the phone, I was a property manager, and for like oh god for like 12 years, no 10 years, and I was speaking over the phone, made an appointment, and the gentleman came in, and he walked in the office, and he was like, I have an appointment to see Lillian. And I was like, that's me. He said, really? I'm like, yes. He said, oh wow, I thought you was white.
Okay.
I was
I
like,
guess it's usual to educated to be black.
I was like, oh. He said, I probably shouldn't have said that shit. I was like, no, you shouldn't have. He said, well, it's fine. I was like, it really isn't, but okay." I was like, oh, I could not believe it. And actually, when I was working at jury department, I had to make announcements, and the guy I worked with, he was like, "You're gonna make the announcements?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Really? They're gonna let you make announcements?" I was like, "Why wouldn't they?" He was
Okay.
like, he was like, "Okay." So I got on the PA and I made the announcements. He whipped around and turned around when I got done. He said, "Oh my God, you can really sound like that? You just sound so sweet and angelic." So my regular natural voice, because we had to put on that politically correct voice, and I was like, wow, it's like that's funny. And
I don't know if I should laugh or uh,
and
fist
I was
palm.
it because I tell people all the time. I said my name, because before I got married, my last name was Mickle, so which is Irish. So I said my name on a resume has got me in so many doors, Lillian Mickle. I said, but when I walked in the door and and they will call your name up to the desk, it was always Lillian Mickle. And I'll up to the receptionist desk, and I'll go up here, and they go, "Oh, okay," every single time. I'm like, wow. And I said, I always had to make sure I had the straightest of weave to get in, to make sure that I got, except I said, it's a shame that I would have to go through all this and had to change my tone. I said, because that was the way I would get into I mean, my resume will speak for itself. And I actually had um, one job. I was working downtown in one of the high end apartment complexes. And the lady told me that my resume did not reflect how I looked.
Oh wow. So were you supposed to put black right there, right
I
in?
need to put in parentheses between my name, Lillian Black Mickle.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was something else. Yeah. So and
You hear the stories. I mean, so many of my friends tell me the stories, so I know they're true, but you listen to them and you still can believe it. I mean, I've lived through some of those stories and I still can believe it. It's like,
no.
why is it still happening?
And then when you try to tell your white friends, and they're like, but you're so nice. I'm like, that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Absolutely nothing to do with it. Absolute. And then, boy, even worse, the company that I was a manager for 10 years, I was the first Black manager they ever hired, and they've been in business 50 years.
Wow. Sometimes when sometimes I make those lists, like a first black women who did this, and part of you want to be proud of them, and you're like, yes, they're
Hmm.
trailblazers, and at the same time it makes you sad because you're thinking they shouldn't have been the first should have been like
No.
100 years ago.
But then what made it so bad when I got it, everybody was like, don't mess it up.
Yeah, now the pressure because you represent us all.
Right. And then and this was even worse. I was the first Black one, but she put me at the smallest property that she had. So really, do I really need to be that excited? Probably not. But it was whatever at the time. So
And it's I mean it's a lot of pressure as a
yeah.
person, but also as a writer. I'm sure you know now that you're writing your book.
Hmm.
it, it's like you have to represent, because we live in a world where black females are not always given the opportunities that they deserve. So whenever you get lucky enough to have a job, get lucky enough to write a book, basic things that everybody should be able to do if they choose to,
Mm-hmm.
wake up in the morning and go to a job that you're good at, or telling your story, you feel the weight the weight of representing everybody who can't, because in fact so many people can't.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely asinine. And this one company hired me, and they basically told me that I had the look to fit their property. And I didn't know what they meant because they interviewed me at a restaurant, and they would not give me the address to the community until the day I started. And so when I started and they gave me the address and I told my dad the address, he's like, that sounds like that's in the hood. I was like, you sure? And he was like, that's in the hood. And I was like, because I never heard of the street before. And sure enough, I was like, oh, that's why they said I had the look
Wow.
for the. I was like, well, God dog it. It's like, wow. I was like, that is so messed up. And because they would not go to that property, they just bought it. They was from another state. It was a management company, and they just bought it, and they wanted to get somebody who's from the city, is how they put it, to work there. It was crazy.
Wow.
But because they was interviewing me and this other candidate, and she was white. But when they told me I had the look, I was like, I didn't know what they meant, but now I do. Good times.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't grow a thick skin, it's it's difficult to survive these days in America. You do have to have a thick skin and a lot of faith, and thank God for your blessings, because they are blessings, things that other people take for granted. I know that I can't take for granted. And every day I look at what I do and the fact that I love what I'm doing. And I say thank you, because not everybody gets to do those things, because we live in a world where the color of your skin still determines what doors people are going to open for you.
Right.
It's sad, and it's really infuriating, but things are changing. I mean, sometimes
So
it's like one step forward, one step back, but we're I mean, we just have to keep doing what we're doing. You're a strong woman. You're sharing your story. You're changing the world your way. And I try to do the same thing using the talents that God gave me, and
oh,
seeing
you're doing it.
what I can do.
Matter of fact, I well, I don't know when this is going to air because I bought your book, so and I'm giving it to my daughter.
Oh, thank you
You're welcome.
so much.
I was like, she needs this for Christmas. Oh, she needs some uplifting. She needs some strength and some backbones. I'm gonna get her this book.
Our youth for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, the kids need us, and when I say the kids, I don't even mean the small kids, even
yeah.
even the young adults. They just need guidance, because the world is certainly confusing. It was simpler, I feel, when I was growing up. I mean,
Hmm.
racism was alive and well, but everything was there was a certain clarity to the way the world worked, or maybe it was an appearance of clarity. But now I feel the world is so confusing, with so much is going on, so many sources of information, and it's just exhausting. And I have to keep the faith in order to survive every day and just make sense out of the mess that we're in.
I think we were naive back then.
Yeah, that's that too.
Yeah, I think we were just so like in the dark about everything and just didn't have a clue and just floating around, just having a good time. I think we knew, but we just didn't really care, if you will. I don't know. I don't know. the information was there, but not so much in our face like it is now.
I think part of you, when I think specifically about the kind of microaggressions that you mentioned, you know, people were not overtly racist, but they're saying racist things and doing a racist, a posing a racist acts. I think that back then, for some reason, I thought that only certain people were racist, and I thought I had some kind of radar. And whenever someone was being racist, I was like, oh, that person is just racist, whatever. They're ignorant or whatever
Mhm.
the case might be. But lately, in the past few years, it's come to my attention that people that I used to admire, people I thought were educated and strong and brilliant, and suddenly they're doing racist stuff, and I'm like, my God, what has the world come to? But yeah, we were naive. I mean, oh, different people were always racist. It's just that now we're adults and we can see it better.
Yeah. Like little things that was said then, we really didn't see it as much. Like when someone said hun to you back then, you really didn't think too much of it. But now you're like, don't say hun to me. I I don't. I'm not a fan of that word or the phrase. You're pretty for a black girl.
Right.
Back then, that really didn't bother me, but it bothered me. But it now is just like, what does that mean? I'm pretty for a black girl.
Lillian, I wanted to thank you again for having this wonderful blog, Worldly Church Girl. And I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about when we can listen to it, where, and kind of an overview of people you've interviewed before and that might be of interest to the viewers of Badass Black Girl. And I want to
Um,
encourage everyone to visit the podcast and get to know you a little bit better and get to know your guests a little better too.
okay. Worldly Church Girl, the podcast could be listened to on any of your favorite podcast forms: Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere you can find podcasts. You can check out Worldly Podcast Live on Facebook Live, on my Worldly Church Girl podcast page, Instagram page, and also my YouTube page. And also on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. New episodes as far as the podcast is every Monday. And as far as the guest goes, they range anywhere from yours truly, you, which I thank you so much for being on there. Awesome show. She made me cuss. No. But it was well worth it. I had Montel Jordan on there. That was a great show. Because as you know, my last question to everybody is, if you had a theme song when you walked into a room, what would it be and why? And he said that, no one's ever asked him that question because, his song is, this is how we do it. But he switched it up and he actually sang a different song. So that was really cool. Um, I had Lisa McClendon. She's a gospel artist. I've also had Leonard Scott. He is the oldest gospel label in the United States. Um, I've also had Demetrius West. He's a gospel artist who actually he just won a Billboard Award this year. I've had Bishop Greg Scott. He is a relationship guru. I've had also, he's probably the most realest guy. You can ask this man anything, and I mean literally anything, and he will answer anywhere from uh, is sexual questions from just anything. He's the most realest dude when it comes to asking questions ever. So he's been on my show twice, and I've been on his show twice. So love that guy. And just a wide variety of people from just all across the globe, from authors to entrepreneurs to starter uppers. I've had this little girl who started her own jewelry company at age of 14. She's doing great. I mean, it's just an awesome variety of people. If you want to be on the show, not you, you've been on there, but you can come back. But if you want to come on the show, you can get on my website, worldlychurchgirl.com, and send me your information. I would love to talk to you, see if you would like to be on the show as well. I'd love to have you. Love for the world to hear your story, because everybody has a story to tell and to share.
Awesome. I love the variety of people you've had on your show. I think it's
Thank you.
fantastic. You're creating a community, and I just love community. I mean, look at us having real conversations and just talking about our experiences. Where else are you gonna find this kind of um, real, real deal other than on our podcast or our vlog? I mean, it's wonderful what you do, and the fact that you took the time to come and talk to us here as well. I mean, it means a lot, Lillian, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you for telling us your story and having a frank conversation about everything. It was great.
No, I'm just honored to be here. I mean, truly, truly, truly. Was nervous as all get out. I mean, it's you.
And look at you. You don't look nervous at all. I mean,
Girl.
you arrived here looking so fabulous. And I'm like, oh, this woman though. I really
Girl.
admire what you do.
This is a Frank show, right? So I could be Frank. You seen the movie Creed?
Yes.
You know how he gets the bubble guts. Girl, my stomach was upset. I was like, oh God, help me. I mean, I feel so honored and so blessed to be able to talk with you. I mean, what you've done for us women, and especially us Black women in general, is amazing, because it takes such strength to stand up and to represent us with such boldness, like the way you have, and to be unapologetic about it the way you are. I applaud you. So for you to invite me to be on your show, please.
Lillian, thank you so much.
Girl,
The world to me.
you're
I
gonna
would
make my
love to
eyelash fall
return.
off.
Please keep doing what you're doing, and we'll get together again soon, either on your side,
Absolutely.
on my side. I want to talk a little bit more about everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You too. See you again soon.
So you, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.